Free safety Will White was a first-team All-America selection by Football News in 1990 as a sophomore. He had 7 interceptions in 1990, and that tied the University of Florida's single-season record and ranked second in the nation in that category. White was a 3-time first-team All-SEC choice who completed his career in 1992 with a school record 14 interceptions. Will White, another great player in Florida football history.
Good morning and welcome to a Friday edition of Pop Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Got a great show lined up for you today. We're going to kick it off here in just a second with my freshman brother, Will White. Second portion of the show, we'll have former Gators sideline reporter and now coach at Jackson State University, Brady Ackerman, join us. But first, let's go to the Titan MR hotline. Good morning, Will White. How are you, my man?
I'm doing wonderful this morning, Shane. I'm enjoying my Friday morning with a cup of orange juice, and everything is going great, man. How about it yourself?
Can't complain, brother. Can't complain.
All right.
Let's get back to the young Will White growing up in Florida, playing quarterback at Godby High School. Tell all the listeners here what other schools were interested in Will White, or were you always going to be a
I had a few in. I had University of Georgia, believe it or not. I had Southern Miss up your way a little bit, actually playing quarterback. I was more of an athlete quarterback in high school, just on the cusp of kind of making my decision whether I wanted to stay on offense or defense once I got to Florida. But Florida was providing me everything that I needed because it was right outside of Seminole land, which I was born and raised. And it gave me a chance to, get away and be my own man, not being away too far from home, staying in the state. But mostly I had, as far as recruiting in high school, Tulane, good division, actually Division I school, kind of the mid-tiers as far as quarterback. And then an athlete, I had a little bit more, more bigger schools. We ran a veer spread in high school, and I actually transferred from a smaller school my senior year over to Godby, Amos P. Godby High, where we went 14-0 and won the state. I guess I was kind of the missing ingredient at quarterback. They had a guy that vacated, the year that I won. They actually won the state the year that I actually transferred. So they were all celebrating and everything when I came over the second half of my 11th grade year. And so the winning spirit was in the air. It was very addictive, very contagious. And my high school coach, Art Witters, which actually is a graduate from Florida, he was over to Godby. So, that transition was very easy for me, and I was very fortunate to play very well and go down to Florida, being recruited by the old Dan Brooks, if you remember that name. I never thought it was the best decision, and never turned around and looked at it any other different, man. I got a great opportunity to have a good career down there, and I wouldn't change a thing.
You were one of those dual threat quarterbacks way back in the day before that term dual threat was out there.
Say it again. I could barely hear you.
I said you were a dual threat quarterback back in the days in high school before they used that term dual threat.
You know what? You're exactly right. And actually we came from the area that the black quarterback was, he was in the mix. My idol was Doug Williams at Grambling. And those, just being able to buy time to always continue to look downfield and always making something happen, just being a football player. Those were opportunities that old Coach Witters allowed me with the veer, just kind of jump into my talents, keep the ball in my hand. You know the deal at quarterback. Get the ball in the hands of a guy that can do things. We had an All-American guy, Eric Terrell, which could have went anywhere. Was one of my wide receivers. So, we had a bunch of athletes, small line, guys that just can get up and down the field. And I tell you, we still Cougars are still the thing in Tallahassee. So, but Yeah, dual quarterbacks now and everything. Now the game has totally changed. With dual quarterbacks is just a thing to be. So most definitely.
We're speaking with Will White, former All-American here at the University of Florida. Oh, we came in the same class. Galen Hall was our head coach when we first got here. My first years, I had Galen yesterday, actually. My first couple of years, I didn't play here, and I was trying to remember if you played a little bit as a redshirt freshman. I can't remember.
I did play as a redshirt freshman. Unfortunately, I was sort of a knucklehead freshman, as we all come in, trying to learn and get introduced to guys all from different areas. And so I was suspended in the first 3 games, and but was able to compete very hard during practice. And actually, I got to play the 4th game, the game that I got back. And we were playing in Tampa, Mississippi State, your hometown boys. So, your home state guys. But for the most part, yeah, I was able to play my freshman year quite a bit. We remember those All-American freshman things, came out. I was a part of that. So I had a good time my freshman year. And Spurrier came in and changed everything. And we went from of course, a run left Emmett, run right Emmett up the middle, to a more of course, passing and attacking style.
So, Will, a lot of people don't know this. As redshirt freshmen, I was number 2 and you were number 9.
Right. and that was my high school number. And I used to look over the locker room like, man, I wish I could have my number. And I just wanted a single digit.
I don't know why they gave me number 2, but you and I made a little trade there.
Yeah.
Getting into our redshirt sophomore years, because number 9 was my number I wanted, and
right.
2, so we made a little trade.
Hey, and it worked out well for us, because that year I blew up, and so did you when Spurrier came. So everything worked out beautifully, man. I couldn't believe it. I tell that story all the time. All the time, because 2 was my number in high school. I think, what was my thing? It takes 2 to make it happen or something. It takes 2 to, whatever that song was back in the 80s.
So we'll talk a little bit, as you mentioned, we kind of sputtered around,
sure.
until Coach Spurrier got here. Talk a little bit about, the attitude he brought to the team, and just, how, he basically changed the landscape of Florida football.
He did.
SEC. Just talk a little bit about what you remember from him, when that first when he got here.
I remember the rumbling of the stadium, of what now is known as the Swamp, because it had turf. You speak of our freshman year, redshirt freshman year, when we had the turf and the crown of the turf, and it was just absolutely hell hot. Excuse my French, but I remember the rumbling where all the heavy equipment came in to tear the turf up, and it was just like a new day. It was a new day from, of course, offensively, because he just threw the ball downfield. We've been known as a defensive guy. We're always known as having great defenses and good running style on offense. But when Spurrier came, it was a new beginning for a lot of players. It was a new, fresh way of playing ball, new confidence, swag that he brought. And we always had swag, but when your head coach has it, it just kind of filtrates through your school, through your actual team as well. So, when Spurrier came, it was a lot of fun, especially from the defensive side, because you knew that there was always an attacking frame of mind going downfield, just attacking on the scoreboard. It was cool to be cool. So Spurrier, with some of the rivals we had, me being from Tallahassee, they having a big figurehead here in Bobby Bowden, having Spurrier, being on that side of the coin was fun. And that's what he bought for me. He bought knowing that we went out on defensive side to get the ball. We knew that once we got the ball, something was going to be done with it if we didn't do anything with it. So it was a lot of fun. I stayed connected with a lot of the boys. And we talk about that all the time. And that's one of the things that on defense, we knew that you guys were going to do what you needed to do. to keep us on the winning side of the scoreboard.
Well,
And that's what he bought for us.
Well, speaking with Will White here on the Take Tomorrow Hotline, got a couple of Facebook Live comments brought to you by Meldon Law, where you matter most. Coach Scott Gordon says, Will the Thrill, one of the greatest. And Marty says, Will White was one of the best. So much fun to watch him play. Will, let's go to 1990. And I tell this all the time, you know, when I do interviews and stuff. I feel like the most important game in the history of Florida football, in my opinion, was 1990 at Alabama. And the reason I say that is because, you know, Florida had some really good teams in the 80s. Were never crowned champs. But, you know, Florida had great talent all the time, but for whatever reason, couldn't win a championship, couldn't win the big games on the road. And our second game in Spurrier's first year was at Alabama with all the great tradition. And we go in there and we actually don't play great offensively. We sputter around, we have trouble blocking them. But you have probably the greatest game of your career with 3 interceptions. Talk a little bit about it.
You know, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. That season, I had really dedicated to my father. My father passed, and as a 19-year-old kid, you know, it's crazy. It was nuts. You know, he passed right before in '89, right before Christmas. We had went out to the Freedom Bowl. You remember that out in Anaheim?
Right.
And I had a really pretty good game. I was really proud of myself, but just to refocus, of course, Spurrier coming in 1990 and all of that it brought. But Alabama was most definitely a game, I think, that kind of just brought all us together, you know, gave us the confidence that we were and that we could fight against the big boys and actually win in their home arena. That game for me, I always call it my map game. Nobody really ever knew who Will was. He was come out of Tallahassee quarterback. What was he? He's pretty decent. But that was a game that kind of put me on the map. It was a game that, wow. I mean, who gets 3 interceptions? Who gets a bunch of tackles? But I was just playing out of my mind, and I was learning how to play, and I was just having fun with guys such as Carlton Miles, Marquette Oliver, Tim Polk, all of the guys I like to call the company of the defense. And from the first interception to the third interception, it was just unbelievable because I was playing out of my mind. I think Jordan talks about the game where, you know, you're just in the zone. I was definitely in the zone. The balls I could see as the revolutions of the ball were turning. I knew where the ball was going. It was like I was already there. I had energy for you couldn't imagine. So that game, what was really most important to me of what it did for the team actually got the confidence. You can feel it going through each and every player. And that season was just something that me and the boys we pioneers. We kind of turned it around and got into those winning ways and believed that we should win. So that's what that game meant for me.
Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. Speaking of Will White on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline. So, Will, when you look back at your Gator career, you know, I remember that first meeting that Coach Spurrier had. He's like, we're going to win championships here, and we're going to beat the Georgia Bulldogs. You being from Tallahassee, obviously that FSU rivalry game probably means a little bit more to you. But
it does.
Talk a little bit about what it was like for you, your enjoyment playing in the Gator Bowl against the Georgia Bulldogs.
Georgia was, of course, I mean, because that came through, you know, Spurrier. That was his vein. He hated Georgia. Let's just say he disliked Georgia very, very much. Being right in Jacksonville, being in a neutral site, I mean, it was a great game, great rivalry. And to this day, you know, I got good friends that are in Georgia now. But what it meant to me was just another strong rivalry that we're University of Florida, we have rivalries everywhere. So, you know, but that one, so to speak, was the one that, you know, that will stick with you forever. you're most definitely right. Being from Tallahassee, went to Florida high school. Florida State is definitely my number one rivalry, without a shadow of a doubt. But Georgia, hey, those are the boys that we gotta hate. So we're looking forward to turning the table this year on them, and I'm excited.
When you look back, people, I like to ask, former players this all the time, and it's usually with linemen, but from a defensive back standpoint, was there one quarterback that you got really excited to play against, or one that you were like, man, it's going to be tough this week because this dude is really good and can throw the football? Was there one guy that kind of, I don't want to say worried you, but you know what I'm saying?
Sure. Charlie Ward. Charlie Ward was a guy. I mean, any guy that could give you, again, what I feel like I could give you at quarterback as well. I mean, that dual threat. I was a robber, and that's what my abilities call for. I was able to get inside the quarterback's mind because I played it and tried to be that place where I knew the ball should be. So any quarterback, so to speak, but those conference games, the conference games from, Andy Kelly to Zaire at Georgia, any of those guys, man, it was just a real challenge to get inside of them and try to rob them.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So, Will, after your Florida days, you went and played a little bit in the NFL and the CFL.
I did.
How was it playing in the CFL on defense with all those crazy motions and stuff they got going on?
It actually was with the wider field. It actually calls more of your skill set as a defensive back with the wide field and the motions actually coming forward towards you. Those actually provided a different challenge. That NFL is exactly what it stands for, not for long. A lot of guys are not fortunate enough, but for the most part, with me going to Phoenix for a year and Indianapolis Colts for a year, just trying to find that gatorship, man. I didn't stay in the professional ranks that long, but I had a great time. And but CFL was definitely a challenge. And we had actually a team that was American-based. They had American-based teams. I believe it was like 1995. Yeah, it was 95. And I was in Louisiana, Shreveport, and then I went to Ottawa. So, and that was it. That was it for me.
You dabble a little bit of high school coaching and let everybody know what you're up to these days.
These days, of course, I'm into sales. I first started out with AT&T in advertising sales for about 10, 12 years. And then I moved into more of a chemical sales with Southeastern. As an athlete, sales was a nice, easy transition, presenting your skill set, in many different ways, just transitioned for me very easily into the sales arena. And that's what I'm doing back, bouncing between Gainesville territory and Tallahassee, trying to stay safe with this pandemic, of course.
And Will, I always ask, first of all, I'm a firm believer you deserve to be in the University of Florida Hall of Fame. For a long time, you were our all-time interception leader. I think Fred Weary has one more than you now.
Yes.
We're going to get some folks on the board because you deserve to be in there, being an All-American here at the University of Florida. Last thing,
thank you, sir.
Last thing I want to ask you, I ask all the former players that played for the head ball coach. You got a good story you can tell us?
Yeah, but it had some curse words in it. No, I Spurrier, again, I there's a lot of good stories, and a lot of guys tell a lot of good stories better than I do. But just the energy that Spurrier brought from day one is something that a story that resonates in me all the time. His accent, his energy. I remember he gave us a certain amount of curse words that we could say was a damn hell and the SHIT maybe. And we went all outside of the box. What he did on certain practice days, I remember that. I was like, yo, wait a minute. What happened to only the 3 curse words that we could say? So just that energy, man, that he brought, that swag, I love it. You guys, you got to get with Batesy. Spurry with all the Batesy and the, how he twists your name a little bit is a funny thing for me as well. But no real good stories.
We all have great stories. Some of them you can't tell. Last thing.
Right. Exactly.
Obviously Dan Mullen this would be year 3 if we get to play this year, but in his first 2 years, won 21 games, won 2 major bowl games. Your thoughts on the job that he's doing?
Wonderful. He's doing a wonderful job. I'm excited this year. It's like, wow, but are we going to have a season? But for the most part, I love Mullins. I think he's doing wonderful on offense. I think the ability that he has to recruit. He has, to me, a lot of characteristics of our old ball coach. Attack style, innovative, play calling, defensive always strong. I'm very excited, and I think Gator Nation should be as well.
I agree with you, my man. Well, Gator Nation love watching number 2 play. We appreciate you on the program, my man. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon.
Shane, I appreciate it, man. Thank you, guys, and go Gators.
All right, that's Will White, former All-American defensive back here at the University of Florida. Join us on the Titan MR Hotline. At Center State Bank, we put business first. We are the largest community bank in the state of Florida. Understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. Center State has 5 convenient Alachua County locations to serve you better. Center State Bank, member FDIC. We're going to take our first time out of the program. We come back. We're going to talk to one of the all-time greats at running back at Florida, Brady Ackerman, joining us here on Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning. We'll be right back.
Time out! Hey, time out! There we go. Good.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Let's give them something to cheer for now.
Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Area Rug Masters, your number 1 choice in Gainesville for all your area rug cleaning services. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, The Digital Mortgage Guide, Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Center State Bank, Gator Bait Media, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Miapa Latin Cafe, Gators Dockside, Aikido America Martial Arts and After School, Doreen Weeby Realtor, Caldwell Banker MM Parish, Radware, Style Cuts, Wrap Spot, Ironwood Golf Course, TB Financial, Chris Doring Mortgage, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Darshakow Insurance, MB Listings, and Pomodoro Cafe. If you are interested in promoting your business on this show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click on the Advertise button or call Freddie at 352-284-3733. Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
He's looking, still looking. He's going for the end zone. He's got a touchdown!
Welcome back to a Friday edition of Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Celebration Point, where the Gators come to celebrate, with premium brands like Bass Pro Shops, Starbucks, and Regal Cinemas. And coming soon, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Visor's Rooftop Bar. We will see you at Celebration Point. I want to thank Will White for joining us. Now we're going to go back to the Titan MR Hotline. We're going to head on over to Jackson, Mississippi. And we're joined, as I said, as one of the all-time great running backs, number 34, Brady Ackerman. Good morning, Brady. How are you, my man?
Yeah, I had a chance. I had a chance when I was at Florida to earn the starting job, but a couple guys like Emmitt Smith, Eric Rhett, those guys played ahead of me. But they earned it. And you were asking Will about Spurrier stories, and I've told them all because we've done radio together. But we were getting ready for the Sugar Bowl, and Willie and those guys weren't running the bopper route right. No, you got to put your toe in the ground to go this way. Brady, get in there and show them how to do the bopper route. So I get in there, plant my right leg, it goes out, I go down. He goes, Grady hurt his leg again. Move the drill over. And the drill kept going. I'm laying on the field with a torn ACL, and he moves the drill over, and they run the bopper route. So there you go. I figured I'd lead off with that one.
That's a good one. We got Rick here has a comment on Facebook brought to you by Meldon Law where you matter most. Rick says, Brady, the best one TD back to ever play at UF.
I like it. Best wheel route running back in the history of Florida.
Has that wheel route gone from about a 35-yard touchdown? Is it about 75 yards or 80 yards now?
It's an 80-yard touchdown, and I outran Deion Sanders to the pylon at FSU.
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, Brady, a lot of people know that, you were the sideline reporter for a long time, worked for the Gator Radio Network. You've been at Jackson State University, a coach, three years now?
Yep, this is my third year.
Yeah, you're now the recruiting coordinator, and you coach the running backs. Just give us a little recap of what's going on in the SWAC with this crazy stuff going on right now.
Yeah, it is crazy. Big news yesterday out of the MEAC, which is where Florida A&M and Bethune-Cookman play. They canceled all fall sports, which leaves a lot of people around these parts concerned. One thing about our conference is I'll say we're the SEC of our level. We got the most fan support. And one of the models that's been thrown out there that we've discussed for a while is playing in the spring. Now, I don't think the big schools can play in the spring. I'm not a fan from an injury standpoint, but from a business standpoint and a safety standpoint, if you could put all the fans that come to SWAC games in the stands, because right now you probably wouldn't have any fans if we played this year. I think they could salvage financially conference-only games and playing in the spring. I wouldn't be surprised if the SWAC announces that pretty soon. We're still hopeful. We've lost our opening game, our second game. We can't get Southern Miss to call us back and trade film, so we're probably not going to play them. So we really only have 8 conference games left. And we think that there's a good chance that they just say, hey, let's reschedule it for the spring. It does cause a lot of issues, but we'll leave it to you talking heads to figure out all those issues. If we can play with fans, it would be in the spring. I don't think we'll have a lot of fans in the fall.
Talking about the Southern Miss game, that's y'all's big payday, correct?
Right. Correct.
Okay, so
one of them.
I always, Buddy and I, we get in these disagreements about how, you got your Power 5 schools, and then the Troys, the South Alabamas, the UABs of the world should play in a different division, which would be fine. But those schools, in my opinion, to survive, need that payday going to the Swamp, going to Tuscaloosa, going to Knoxville, Tennessee, playing the big boys. Plus, it gives those kids an opportunity who had dreams of playing big-time college football. They get an opportunity to play against the big boys in a huge environment. Can those programs, Brady, survive if they don't get those paychecks this year?
I think they can survive, but I think what's happening with the group of 5 and the people I've talked to and have some friends that coach at places like SMU and UCF, they got to take out lines of credit, against future earnings from banks. Banks, some of these schools, Louisiana Tech, I know, took out a line of credit because what that money pays for isn't so much the football program. It pays for soccer, volleyball, baseball at that level. I mean, there's not a whole lot of baseball programs that can support themselves outside the SEC. So, and then the basketball, they got the tournament, but they get one bid. So for us, our football program supports everything in our program, from baseball to volleyball to women's basketball to men's basketball. And when you take that hit on the budget that we've taken this year or going to take, Shane, it's going to be interesting to see how crafty our athletic director can get. And that's why I think for us, we may have to play in the spring. Those games are fun, Shane, for guys to go play. I mean, we're probably not going to beat Southern Miss, but they beat the doors off of us 2 years ago. So it'd be a game for us to go up and compete against them. And, we get a nice paycheck there, but we also get a nice paycheck when we go to up to Memphis in the Liberty Bowl to play Tennessee State in a classic that's sold as a weekend. So, we've lost $1 million if we don't play Southern Miss. From what I understand, the first 3 games were $1 million worth of revenue to our program that we're not going to be able to recoup.
You've now been the recruiting coordinator. Let everybody know, is that nerve-wracking to be in charge of recruiting?
They usually give that title, Shane, to the most organized guy, I think. But so it's, you know how I am about details. So no, it is. The thing with us is our net is so wide because we can't. Yeah, do I want Shane Matthews out of GHS? I do, but he has all these offers, but I'm still going to keep him on my board in case he slips through the cracks. I've got to keep an eye on him. But I also, you got people that are trying to send you players that you really don't want, but could end up at your level. So it is, we got a wide net. Our board is as big as it's ever been since I've been here as far as recruiting. I think we've done a good job of evaluating tape. We've had a lot of time. We've got a bunch of offers out there, and we just need to win ball games. We need to get people excited about Jackson State football besides the band and the fans. I mean, when I mean fans, I mean, we need to get people, players and kids who want to come here excited about that. I tell you, the most frustrating thing recruiting here, Shane, because you talk about some of the guys that have played here like Walter Payton and Jackie Slater, Jimmy Smith. There's some names I think plenty of your listeners know who they are, but the problem recruiting here is the junior colleges in the state. They have such good facilities. I guess they got all this money from the state. They have better facilities than we do. So I get a kid out of Murrah High School, which is right here in downtown Jackson, and he's a dynamic player. All right. And we're a week from camp last year, and the junior colleges, they keep recruiting them. Keep recruiting them. They say, look, we got Auburn says you come here, Auburn's going to sign you, which I think he could probably play at Auburn, to be honest with you. We were lucky to get him, but he'll probably be a group of 5 player. But we lost him a week before camp. And he went to Gulf Coast. They won the national title, and he was a big part of what they did. But, so that's the most frustrating thing is just having kids, but junior colleges never stop recruiting them, all the way till they get on your campus.
We're speaking with Brady Ackerman, recruiting coordinator and running back coach at Jackson State University. He and I used to have that award-winning program, Ackerman and Matthews, in the afternoon.
That was middays.
Middays, yeah, but it was award-winning. Lucas on Facebook Live has a question for you, Brady, brought to you by Meldon Law, where you matter most. He says, what's up, Brady? Go Gators. What was your favorite part of being on the radio crew for all those years?
They're going to events. I enjoyed covering the SEC tournament. Are you talking about the radio crew with the football team? To me, it was just being around Mick and those guys on the weekends and traveling to the environments. I think my first road game was Knoxville as a sideline guy. I did do the SEC championship game, Urban's last SEC game, but we went to Knoxville, and I mean, I love being on the field. I always enjoyed being down in the mix, and there's a lot of great stories, especially when Muschamp was there. I had that knee injury that year, and they put my surgery off till after season. Where he's coming off the field at Knoxville, frustrated at whatever just took place. We were probably winning, by the way. And he takes off, and I can't keep up with him. I can't run. Mick, I can't keep up with him because I was basically should have been on crutches. I had to do the whole season with a torn ACL, but he took off on me. So, but I just enjoyed being on the field at game day. I think the most fun I ever had post game was the LSU game, the rescheduled game when we go. McElwain used to not really let us go in the locker room. But he let me and Jeff go in there. And after that win, after all they had said about our athletic director and our program and about how we were ducking them, that was probably the most fun locker room I've been in as a sideline guy.
Gary on Facebook Live, brought to you by Meldon Law, where you matter most, says, Brady, do you miss talking to the local Gator clubs?
I used to love that. When I started, it was an honor that they would even want to talk to a walk-on running back who had 1 career touchdown. And as it went, there were certain clubs that I just always did every year. And it was never about the money. It was more about the interaction with the people and just, trying to give them a good joke at the beginning, tell a joke about the ball coach. I probably ran out of Spurrier stories after all those years, but I really did. I enjoyed it. Pinellas County, I think of them. That was one I loved. Jacksonville, obviously, in my hometown. I just remember, Shane, the first time they asked me to do it in Jacksonville, when I came back from coaching, I was like, you want me to come speak? I was like, so it was I always took it as an honor. I never did it for money or anything like that. I always did it because I was, it's part of being in the Gator Nation. I had my career, certainly wasn't your career, Shane, or Emmett's or a lot of these guys, but I was able to, connect with the Gator fans through Gator clubs, and eventually probably helped me when I got on the sidelines, just to being able to go out there and talk to them.
We got a text on the Titan Mart text line. It comes from Joseph. Joseph wants to know, do y'all still have the Gator transfer at quarterback for you?
Jalen Jones, yeah, we think he's going to have a great year. It took a while to get him in there. When we got him in there, we had 500 yards of offense in 3 of his 4 starts. Dynamic runner, got better at throwing the football. Had a really good offseason until they shut us down. And no, we think he's got a chance. You know, Alabama A&M has a quarterback chain that's going to play in the NFL, in my opinion, late round draft pick. But his name's Akil Glass. It'd be hard for anybody to unseat him as all conference quarterback because they can really throw the football. But I think our guy's got a chance. I think he's got a chance because of if we win a bunch of games and he's grown up a little bit. He showed up. He was immature, but you got to remember he should have been in high school when he was at Florida. You know, he was a mid-year, and then he came and he's the Florida guy. But I think he grew up. He matured, and he's definitely our guy. He's our leader, and at our level to get a 4-star quarterback, that's pretty doggone good, and he's going to be dynamic for us this year.
So let everybody know, like, your kids working out right now. When did they come back to campus? They get all the testing procedures. Are y'all doing that at your level?
Yes. What the SWAC did is they wouldn't let anybody bring anybody back to campus until July 27th. So our kids have had to work out remotely. Monday is the first time they could even come and work out unofficially at our place. But the problem, Shane, is we got maybe 18, 20 kids from the Jackson area, and we got about 60 from further, not just, Greenville to Florida we got a wide receiver that I signed out of Los Angeles. He ain't coming for a week because there's nowhere for him to stay. So the kids get here on the 27th. We'll house them. The coaches, we're all going to do the nasal swab, and they're going to do a blood test, which I'm excited about. It's just see if you have the antibodies or whatever, because Lord knows I might have had it. I don't know. I haven't been sick, but I'd like to know a little more information. So we're all going to do that. We're going to take as many precautions as we can. We've, our AD, our trainers have reached out to SEC schools to see what they're doing and what we're capable of doing. We don't have the resources, I believe, to test every week, but they said we are on Mondays. Before the game, every Monday we're going to test our kids. But the thing of it is, Shane, is there's so much to this that people don't know. There's insurance. How much is the insurance companies? When you send your kid to Florida, your insurance is going to pay for it first before Florida does. So at some point, I would think the insurance companies would be like, man, do you guys really need these tests every week? I don't know. I mean, I worry about those kind of things. Our insurance would cover it, though. We have great insurance. And but that's our plan. And we're not going to be in the locker room. We're going to take over our indoor / facility, the Walter Payton Center, which is where they're building our new locker room, but it's not done yet. It should be done for the spring, and spread them out and test them. And, if they cancel, if they move it to spring, Shane, that's the question is, what do we do in the fall? Are we going to have spring practice? We're going to have OTAs. What are we going to do? Because we need to practice. We need to practice.
Yeah. Brady, talk about, you're at a historical black college, in the SWAC, Jackson State, a lot of tradition there in the state of Mississippi. And we all know that they finally banned the state flag. Was that ever a big issue on campus or when you were recruited to get to Jackson State?
It wasn't something that was brought up. It's certainly something that's ingrained in the culture at the HBCUs. I've been fortunate to be here. I'm the minority coach, if you will, on staff, but I've been fortunate to be here 3 years. And a lot of it, Shane, I've learned a lot about the culture of HBCUs as opposed to just the culture of African Americans in general that you and I played with and been friends with our whole lives. There's a lot of things that even go a little bit deeper. And the pride at this school, at the HBCU, is very strong. I couldn't understand when I first got here why we call it HBCU or an FCS school, but they're proud of that history, and everything's on campus. Everything is close knit. There's no going off campus to bars and everything. There's just everything happens on campus, and it's really a unique place, in my opinion, with so much tradition. I think that they've had some poor leadership before I got here, as far as just not just coach, but the president and stuff. So financially, we're trying to dig out of a hole, but we've got an excellent athletic director. And I've been fortunate to work with the best and one of the best in Jeremy being the best and Scott Strickland. And this guy's sharp, Shane. I know there's a lot of, things that people think when they look at the SWAC. But we've got a really sharp athletic director, and I think he's going to help us get through this and make sure that we got all the things we need to be successful. We just got to provide them some wins. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Brady, I had to ask you this, and many of our listeners have seen it during, I think it was right before March Madness started the conference tournaments in basketball. Jackson State's manager, Big Snacks, came off the bench. He hit that big, like from half court shot in the Coliseum, went crazy. Was Snacks a part of the football team at all? Like,
no, Snacks. No, he's a basketball manager. Snacks shoots from the logo, Shane. They doesn't come inside the logo. All right. And we'll have excuse me, we'll have when it rains, we got to go indoors to do our off-season conditioning. So we'd had guys challenge him on the football team after we get done running and stuff and out there shooting. I couldn't believe it. Did not shock me he made the shot, but I've seen him make 4 or 5 of those in a row from the logo. And it's just it was awesome to see how that took off. And our broadcaster, Rob J, man, he was hilarious in that because everybody was dying. And the kids just run with it. You know, SB, he's really a good kid who I think obviously he's taken this stardom and he's put together a travel basketball team. He's raising money for charity. It's just a great story. It really is. It's funny. I said, golly, we're more popular for our mascot running on the field at season opener on ESPN and our manager making one from the logo than we are winning football games. We got to get this thing turned around.
Talk a little bit about, it's good football in the SWAC. I'll never forget when I was a youngster, my dad took me to the stadium there in downtown Jackson for the Mississippi Valley Alcorn game when Jerry Rice and Willie Totten were playing the quarterback and Rice was the receiver for Valley. And what was the guy's name for Alcorn? The great defensive back. I can't think of his name right now. It'll come to me. But we were like the only 2 white people in the stadium. It was great. But just talk about just the atmosphere, the big part of the SWAC or the bands. And tell the story when you first got there, how you basically got enamored with the band and pregame warm-up.
I did. I loved it. I made sure I was on the field when they come into the stadium because it's just an awesome experience. And, they work now. The band works. And, we went to Southern one year and they have what's called the fifth quarter, which is the hour before the game. And they had dueling bands. Well, one would play one song and one would play the other. And I've told people this is the reason our band sounds so good in the stadium is our stadium is, we don't have 80,000 people in there. We're not in Knoxville with 100,000 people. So even though that band, you can hear it, I'm telling you, it's like it's coming right out of the radio. And our band, they get after it now. They the sonic boom of the South, they're very entertaining. It's part of our culture. And, FAMU has a great band. Southern has a great band. Grambling has a great band. So this is a rivalry when you do that kind of stuff, when you play those games. And people come to see the halftime show. I haven't seen it because we've been in the locker room, but I did watch some of that fifth quarter in pregame. It was pretty good. So, it's just another part of that culture we were talking about, Shane, and it's a little different. There's a lot of dancing that going on. I'm not sure you have the moves to be hanging out in the band, but it's cool, man. It really is cool. You got to experience it. I think that every person should experience either Grambling, Southern, Alcorn, Jackson State, FAMU, Bethune. When I was at Sunshine Network, I got to cover FAMU and Bethune for our post game back when we first started, when I was working with Whit Watson and Terry Norvell. How about that crew? And that halftime, they go leave after halftime. Halftime lasted over an hour because both bands played. I'm like, can I leave now? I got to get out of there before the traffic. But I was like, bands, it was over an hour at the Florida Classic. How about that?
Wow. Refresh your vehicle and your brand with a vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot. July is your lucky month at Wrap Spot. Mention promo code Shane and receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. We're speaking with former Gator Brady Ackerman. A few more minutes with him. We got a comment here on Facebook Live brought to you by Melon Law, where you matter most. Johnny wants to know, maybe Brady could give us a dining review of Roosevelt's and a golf review of the new Live Oaks Golf Club in Jackson.
Man, it's awesome. It's awesome. Roosevelt's right now is shut down because of the coronavirus. And so they've moved the pro shop out by the pool But Live Oaks Golf Course, Kyle Morris, our buddy, owns it. And when he took over that, I thought he was an idiot, Shane. That's why would you want to own a golf course? Best shape it's been in a long time. It's beautiful golf course. A lot of fun out there. I work out there some, play out there some. But the interesting thing is they built a wedding facility in the back where the old clubhouse used to be. And it is that right there is the smartest thing he's ever done. I mean, that thing is just gorgeous under the live oaks trees with the wedding place. And, I just think it's going to be great. But the golf course is in great shape. The best greens in Jackson, the best value in Jackson at Live Oaks Golf Course.
Before we let you go, Brady, being in the state of Mississippi with Lane Kiffin and Mike Leach coming into the conference, and obviously we didn't get to have SEC media days and spring ball, but just the buzz around the state about having those two characters coaching in the state of Mississippi.
Oh, it's exciting for them. It's already a big, as you know, Shane, Ole Miss and Mississippi State is a big deal. I think when you leave this state, you don't really, being in Florida most of my life, it's like, okay, it's a rivalry game just like any other one, but it's a big deal in this state. It's just as big here as Auburn, Alabama is in their state. And I think there has been a buzz. I think it's been numbed a little bit, Shane, because we couldn't have spring ball because of coronavirus. But I loved when they went to the Capitol to, get rid of the flag, and protest taking it down, and all the coaches in the state went, and our coach and athletic director went, and Leach had his mask on wrong, and he was messing with Kiffin's mask. I don't know if you saw that, but he, those two guys, that I think that's gonna be great for that division, that rivalry, and who knows, one of those two guys may sneak up and win this thing down the road. But it's going to be fun to watch Leach with some real cats on defense now, and he's got himself a really good quarterback. And Kiffin, I don't know if his quarterbacks, they're more running type quarterbacks. They do have Matt Corral, I want to say, Florida recruited, but there's definitely a buzz around the state with those two guys, and we'll see what happens. I know Leach and his staff came over to Jackson for a meet and greet with all the high school coaches before things kind of shut down. So I think they're all both doing a good job of getting out there and recruiting the state of Mississippi as well.
Last thing for you, you probably don't get to watch as much college football now as you did before you got into coaching, because you're breaking down film and all that stuff. But in 2 years that Dan has been here, he's won 21 games, 2 major bowl games. Florida's kind of on the rise right now to hopefully overtake the Georgia Bulldogs. Your thoughts on what Dan and his staff have done?
Well, not hopefully. They better overtake the Georgia Bulldogs. I did watch that game on a replay on the SEC network, but I want to say it was on last week or something. And I also watched the Virginia game, was on the other night on the SEC. He got a lot of chance to catch up on some of their games. He's done a terrific job, as you know, Shane, establishing the winning ways once again. He's coached 2 quarterbacks to a high level already, so he can roll the dice. You give him a quarterback, he can go and coach him up. And he's given the fans the confidence back that was kind of just taken away after Urban left. I know Will had a good year 1 year, but we really didn't have much offense that year. And then, McElwain had a big year, but you lost Will Greer, so really didn't feel like that. This is a different feel. I think the Gator Nation's excited. They got a coach with some swagger. They're getting a new standalone facility. Shane, shocking. Did you get that done finally?
I had it done.
Dan, that's long overdue, but it's going to be great. Scott Strickland's done an amazing job. And I will say this. I don't know how nice the new baseball park is, but have you ever been to the one at Starkville?
Oh, yeah. It's unbelievable.
Oh my goodness. That is unbelievable. That might be the nicest baseball stadium I've ever been in.
I had Sully on a couple of weeks ago, and I asked him about that. He said, and I had Steve Russell too, because Steve's traveled with Cardozo doing, and they said that the Florida ballpark is way better than all of them: LSU, Arkansas, Mississippi State. Now they probably have to say that, but it could be true. The difference about Mississippi State is it's the atmosphere. That's what Duty Noble brings. It's the best place to watch a baseball game, in my opinion, anywhere, pro or college.
Well, I give Scott Strickland a lot of credit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think people are excited. Didn't Tim get a new stadium?
Tim
get it? Yeah.
I want to say this is it's been here 2 or 3 years now, but it's awesome.
Yeah. Great. Awesome.
Strickland. Brady, before we let you go, So when y'all start practice now, you can't be going out and demonstrating the Bopper route. You're too old to do that.
Right.
You got bad wheels.
Especially on our practice field. It's not the greatest, Shane. And last year, me and the safety coach go after it pretty good. Charles Mitchell, he played in the NFL for 5 years, played for Tony Hughes at Mississippi State. And he's funny because he always, every time they get a lucky interception, he'll run down the sideline. So we hit him with a hitch and go last year. I was coaching receivers, and I took off running down there. And I was trying to do the old windmill thing. All of a sudden, the knee popped, and I was like, and all the players like pointing at me. I'm about to go down. I'm down on one knee. But, I ain't going to demonstrate the Bopper route, but we do have that in our playbook, back options. So we'll make sure our guys can do that. We're going to protect the football and run hard. I think we got a really good group of running backs, and I hope we get to play. But most importantly, I think it's let's do the right thing for the safety of the players and the students on campus.
Absolutely. Well, Brady, we appreciate you taking some time to join us, buddy. I know the Gator Nation enjoys listening to you, and we'll be watching the Jackson State Tigers this year.
Are those Super Bowl trophies back there, Shane? What do you got back there?
Yes, Super Bowl. They're my SEC Player of the Year trophies. They look like the Vince Lombardi Award,
don't they? I'm like, gosh, Shane got 2 Super Bowls with who?
I played on some bad football teams. We never got near the Super Bowl.
All right, buddy. Thanks for having me on.
Yep, that's Brady Ackerman. Join us to take our final time out here. You're watching and listening to Pod Up with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
Time out! Time out! Hey! Time out! Time out! Time out! There we go. Good.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Let's give them something to cheer for now.
Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Area Rug Masters, your number one choice in Gainesville for all your area rug cleaning services. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte.
Bob in trouble, gets ready to throw. Big hit.
Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, The Digital Mortgage Guide, Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Center State Bank, Gator Bait Media, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Miapa Latin Cafe, Gators Dockside, Aikido America Martial Arts and After School, Doreen Weeby Realtor, Caldwell Banker MM Parish, Radware, Style Cuts, Wrap Spot, Ironwood Golf Course, TB Financial, Chris Doring Mortgage, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Darshakow Insurance, MB Listings, and Pomodoro Cafe. If you are interested in promoting your business on this show, you can visit our website, podupwithshane.com, and click on the Advertise button or call Freddie at 352-284-3733. Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
He's looking, still looking. He's going for the end zone. He's got a touchdown!
Welcome back to this Friday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. This Day in Sports is brought to you by Area Rug Masters. Don't fight your area rugs. Take them to Area Rug Masters. With their convenient curbside services, you will never need to go anywhere else. Call them at 352-448-5999. This Day in Sports back in 1978, New York Yankees manager Billy Martin and Reggie Jackson get into a fight in the dugout after Reggie Jackson refuses to bunt, causing Billy Martin to suspend him. I'd love to see that going at it. We really want to thank Will White, All-American defensive back, my former classmate, freshman brother here at the University of Florida, join us, and my good buddy Brady Ackerman. It's always good to have Brady on the program. I know the Gator Nation loves listening to him. Make sure you and your friends follow us on Facebook Live. You can also check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. A little rundown for next week. We're going to have Ian Scott, Dr. Pete Indelicato, Sexy Rexy Grossman, Barry Smith, former FSU player, and Johnny Wiggs, who's the head baseball coach at Santa Fe College, former Gator pitcher. Folks, have a great weekend. Stay safe out there. Take care, and we will see you next week.